Great, thanks. Yeah. Thank you all for putting on this event, and thank everybody for coming out tonight, and the Democratic Party for taping everything we say. So we enjoy the democratic process. For those who don't know me, I'm Martha McSally. I'm a retired Air Force colonel. I was a fighter pilot in the Air Force Academy distinguished graduate. I was a Rhodes Scholarship regional finalist and a White House Fellowship national finalist. I have 2 master's degrees, one from Harvard University in public policy with a focus on international security, and another one from Air War College, where we send our senior leaders in the military. A master's in strategic studies from there, and I graduated #1 of 225 in my class. I had the privilege to be in the first group of women to become fighter pilots after the law was changed, and I was the first woman to fly a fighter into combat, and I was also the first woman to command a fighter squadron in U.S. history, also in combat. I was blessed to have done that from being stationed at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base and flying the mighty A-10, which is the best close air support aircraft in the world. It's a single-seat attack airplane with a big 30mm gun on it. And basically, when the friendlies see the A-10 overhead, they realize they're safe, and when the bad guys see the A-10 overhead, they realize that they may be given an opportunity to give their life for their cause. So it's a wonderful airplane with a great mission, and I chose it over the other fighter aircraft, F-15, F-16, F-111, and F-15E, because I just thought it was a wonderful opportunity to support Americans on the ground under fire and be able to be in the mix and be able to save their lives. Commanding is like no other responsibility. Not only did I have 27 aircraft under my command, totaling $10 million apiece, so $270 million, plus the pilots and the readiness to deploy anywhere in the world on 24 hours notice to do any sort of mission. It's a pretty daunting responsibility. And also in the military as a commander, you're basically the judge and jury for your troops as well. You set the climate, you're responsible for good order and discipline, and you're responsible for making sure that everybody's toeing the line, and you have the opportunity, Sean knows this, right, to take stripes and do all sorts of stuff, the possibilities of separating from the military and other stuff. So it's serious business being in command, and it was a real privilege and opportunity to do that. I also worked for Senator Kyle for a year as a legislative fellow. I was one of 7 selected in the Air Force instead of going to command a staff school to actually serve on Capitol Hill as a Defense Foreign Affairs Advisor. So when I was in that role, I was advocating for not just national security issues, but also military bases and military issues specifically related to Arizona, obviously while I was on his team. I learned a lot from Senator Kyle. I went to Washington, D.C. thinking not everybody there was very necessarily the smartest and full of character and hardworking, but I saw, here's a man who was working very hard, a man of character, and was very brilliant and respected by his colleagues and learned how to get things done, and I saw that example while I was there. 10 years ago, I took on the Pentagon and put my career on the line over a policy where they were making our service women wear Muslim garb when off base in Saudi Arabia. It's a very long story, and for 6 years I tried to get this policy change within the Department of Defense. It was a U.S. military policy imposed on our own people, and when I got to the point of 6 years of not getting anything changed up and down the chain of command to 2 secretaries of defense, I put my career on the line and filed litigation. McSally versus Rumsfeld. That's probably the end of your career when you do that as an officer. So my oath of office was to the Constitution of the United States only as an officer. It's the same oath of office as a member of Congress, and I take it very seriously. So I chose to stand up for the Constitution and the mission in good order and discipline. I filed a lawsuit, and then I realized that I'd worked on Capitol Hill for a year. We have 3 branches of the government, God bless America. So I realized the defense bill was coming up that year, so I actually wrote legislation, got sponsors in the House and the Senate on both sides of the aisle. 10 days later, this bill was voted on as a freestanding bill on the floor of the House of Representatives, unanimously. We attached it to the yearly defense bill in the Senate, and it was signed into law December 2nd, 2002 by President Bush. That was an 8-year battle, start to finish, when I first saw that this policy was wrong, and we finally overturned it by law. I am an endurance athlete. I've run over a dozen marathons and 2 Ironman triathlons, and so when other people give up, I just keep on going, and that's just the moral fiber of who I am and how I was made. I stepped up to serve and jump into the special election race because I'm very convicted about what's going on in America. I'm very convicted about what's going on and how it's going to impact our community here. We're at a critical crossroads right now. We have so much uncertainty in the economy. There's a lot of uns. There's uncertainty, there's unemployment, there's underemployment, there's unfunded liabilities, and we have got to take those uns out of the situation so that we can get back to prosperity, we can get back to growth, and we can grow our way into good jobs, into businesses hiring people again, into people working again, and giving an opportunity for them to, have a better life for them and their kids, because that's what America's all about. And we've had just too much uncertainty, and that's from failed policies coming out of the federal government right now. So it's the #1 issue that is facing our country and our community, is getting this economy under control. Getting this economy going again by empowering small businesses. 7 out of 10 jobs come from small businesses. So getting the federal government out of the way so the free market can flourish, so that businesses can actually get hiring, and we can then grow our way out of our economic situation. That is also going to help us with our debt. We've got a daunting debt in front of us. It keeps growing every day, even while we're standing here. And we have to take some, serious look about these complex issues about how we're going to address it. Healthcare. Is it healthcare on the mind of all of you? I'm sure we'll have questions about it. We have got to make sure that we've got affordable and available healthcare for our people. And it's not by a government-run program that's robbing over $700 billion from Medicare. It's by coming up with serious solutions that are going to bring the cost down to make it affordable and available for everybody. Again, these issues are complex. We need somebody representing CD2 who's got the education and the leadership and the experience in order to solve complex problems and get things done. That's what I bring to this district, and that's what I bring to this race. I've been endorsed by Senator Kyle and the entire Arizona Republican congressional delegation, and we've got 82 days to beat Ron Barber, and we're looking forward to doing that. So I'll look forward to your questions. Thanks.
Mark Koskanimi.
Mark Koskanimi. I get my 7 minutes now. Okay. My name is Mark Koskanimi.
I'm glad we didn't do 10. 7 went on for a long time. Didn't it?
Did I bore you?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but
Still cutting into my time, right?
No, she's
Don't get to 10 like that. My name is Mark Koskanimi, and I'm also running in this primary for Congressional District 2. I just want to say thank you to Martha for her service, the great service that she's provided, obviously, in the armed services over the 26-year career that she's had. Thank you very much. You can get a sense of what it must have been like to be on the other end of the A-10, looking down the barrel of the gun with, what, 1,100, 1,200 rounds ready to go? Yeah. So, no, again, thank you for that. But we're running now for the new full 2-year term for Congress. Okay, we had the special election. $13 million or thereabouts was spent in order for Ron Barber to have the opportunity to serve for about 5 or 6 months. That includes the money that Pima County spent on elections, that 3 other counties spent on elections, that the candidates themselves spent, that this outside group spent. So when Martha speaks about having the education and experience, we're not running against Jesse Kelly anymore. We're running a new race. Okay, I came to this state in 1972. I've got roots that go back 40 years. There's 3 generations of Koskanimis who have called this place home. I went to school here. My daughter and my son go to the same school as I went to. I went into the chemical industry. I have more than 2 decades experience in the private sector. What we need now is movement on jobs, the economy, and border security. And I know on the first 2, jobs and the economy, I've been there and done that. Martha got a master's in public policy at the Kennedy School at Harvard University. On the other end of that same campus, at the Harvard Business School, when I was vice president of human resources for the company that I was with, they were actually using our company as a case study in how to do business right, and how to innovate, and how to transform an organization to become better and prepared for the future. That is the kind of experience that we need to have going forward. That is at the top of the ticket with Mitt Romney and now Paul Ryan as his running mate. They need people in Congress who can support their vision of how we bring America back, how we bring jobs, how we get the economy and the debt and the deficit back, get the debt and the deficit under control so the economy will start driving again. How do we restructure the taxes so that there's incentives for business to invest, so that people don't face that uncertainty as consumers about wondering how much money is going to be left in their pocket at the end of the day because of different taxes or programs. We've mentioned the Affordable Care Act, which is anything but. When the law goes into effect, that says we're going to add 16,000 IRS agents as part of affordable health care, I ask constituents, do you know where your local IRS office is? And they say, well, I don't know, I guess it's somewhere in Tucson. I said, well, you better find out and hope they have a minute clinic there. Because when you go there, they better be taking your blood pressure and checking your sugar, because that's what they need to do if they're going to provide affordable health care. That's not what's happening in this bill. This bill needs to be totally taken apart, repealed, and we need to look at giving the power to states to make sure that they can put in reforms that they want to see happen. There's about a dozen commendable things in the Health Care Act. I've talked to hospitals in the region, and they give me a simple one-page sheet that says, here's the things we like about it. That bill was 2,700 pages long to arrive at what? A big mess that is taking money out of Medicare, Medicaid, and making a mess of things. So we need to get rid of that. Taking that kind of uncertainty out of the system will help businesses get more confidence. Businesses grow when the demand for their products outstrips their capacity to produce. And so right now we need to get consumers enthused so they will outstrip the ability of businesses to supply, so they will then add jobs and add capacity to it. On border security, we know that the federal government has failed utterly. There's two studies in failure on the border. There's one west of Nogales, which is pretty much all federal lands, where they haven't been minding the store. But the one that's important to us in District 2 is the one east of Nogales, where there's a bit of a hodgepodge. It's not all federal lands. There's some cities, there's some towns, there's ranchers on there, so there's private property. But there's a border alliance group that tries to manage down there, tries to enforce the laws that we have, but they can't get any help from the federal government. So we need to make sure that we've got somebody there representing us, somebody there who is a voice. That can, when Larry Deaver picks up the phone, the Cochise County Sheriff, he can call somebody to go down there and knock some heads. And that's what I intend to do, to support them. You know, I thank Martha, we got the little cards here, that in one of the articles she said he's a nice guy with some good ideas, but he's gonna have a hard time getting his message out. Anybody out there seeing the message? I think we've got some of these out there. So anyway, I do appreciate that. I think that is, you know, what we need to have. Wouldn't it be refreshing, I think you also said that it would be refreshing, that I'm not going to be yelling at anybody, but oh my gosh, you were going to kick a presidential candidate, and one of your top priorities is to give some people the boot. That's good. So I know, speak softly and carry a big steel-toed boot, right?
Have a sense of humor.
I know, exactly. I think it would be refreshing to have, you know, somebody's going to tell me, I know I'm going to hear it now, the nice guys finish last. Now, because the nice guy's representing all of you. If I finish last, then you're going to be finishing last, and we don't want to see that happen. So wouldn't it be refreshing if the nice guy with some good ideas was actually the guy who was winning? Are we serious about this? We're on the ballot. We're serious. It gets more serious at every level, obviously. You tick the box, we move on to the next phase, and yes, it gets real serious because as Martha said, 1 minute, we're looking at, this is the federal deficit or surplus. This is with the track we're on now, which is big red numbers which are no good. Okay, this is the line that Paul Ryan is trying to draw, the green line. Okay, now there's some people who complain about Paul Ryan's budget. Myself, I'm a fan of the Simpson-Bowles approach because even though Paul Ryan's got a very good budget, it doesn't really start addressing things until about 2040 in terms of reducing the debt. Simpson-Bowles takes it and starts reducing it sooner than that. I think we can squeeze it even more. We've got, you know, about $65 billion in the education department, $32 billion in energy, and about $10 billion in EPA. I mean, those people can't squeeze it a little more and give us some of our money back. That's what really needs to happen here. We need to make sure that we are squeezing the federal government, getting everything out of it we can, so you have money in your pocket so you can get this economy kick-started again. It's not going to happen at the government. The government's only taken from it. It's not adding back to it. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take questions from the audience, so start